Okay. Welcome to Digitalizing Delmarva's Heritage and Traditions. My name is Barrie Tilghman, and our subject today is chicken salad. Chicken salad is a staple of every Eastern Shore special time, dinners, church suppers. It's something you take when someone's not feeling well to their house. And we're here today in Kaye and Jim Thomas's kitchen with Kaye Thomas. Hi, Kaye.
Hi, Barrie.
And we're here today. I'm very excited about this because I've been blessed over many years to enjoy Kaye's chicken salad. And I really believe it is the very best chicken salad I have ever eaten, which is saying a lot because my mom made great chicken salad.
Thank you.
So, Kaye, let's start. I remember many years ago you were making lemon Christmas trees with lemon leaves in my house for a fundraiser for the Historical Society. And you were talking about your chicken salad and how you made it and how you came to make it. Talk to me a little bit today about how you got in the chicken salad business.
Well, my husband and I moved here almost 43 years ago. And I had no idea how to make chicken salad. And my next door neighbor at the back, when I lived on Orchard Circle, Irma Trivets, who was Charlie Trivets, the wallpaper hanger, his wife, she said she'd teach me how to make chicken salad, which she did because I didn't know anything, and we were having company for Christmas. And that's what I had, and we put it on these little rounds, and I still do it. So I've done it almost 38 years at Christmas time, the Saturday before Christmas. And she was the one that taught me how to do it.
And you even inherited her pan.
I even inherited her pan, and I've got a picture over there.
Let me get that for you.
Okay. Yes, when she passed, or even before that, she gave me her pan.
Everybody can see the pan. That's Mrs. Trivets' chicken pan.
That's right. That was her pan.
She cooked, how many chickens will this hold at a time?
Six. It holds 6. And at Christmas, I cook 10. And it makes approximately 45 to 50 pounds.
And what kind of chicken? What size chicken do you use? What kind of chicken do you prefer?
I use Purdue chickens.
Purdue chickens.
And Purdue fryers. And I get them just at the grocery store, and I cook them with water and spices, usually at night. And when I get up in the morning is when I pick them. And the secret, Mrs. Trivets told me, is to pick your chickens while they're warm.
That is, I think that's great advice.
Well, it works. And also to cook them in a roaster like that. I have 3 size agate roasters that I use. And I cook different sizes depending on how much I'm making.
So a good agate roaster, you don't need to go to Williams-Sonoma and spend a fortune on a roaster.
No, you can go to Walmart or wherever they have them and just get one and pop the chickens in.
How big is a fryer usually?
Well, I have one to show you.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay, we'll stop there for a second.
It looks like I'm not married. I don't have my rings on.
You're cooking.
Now you mentioned serving them on rounds, so Kaye, can you just pick the one up closest to you and just don't lift it too far up, but just tilt it towards the camera.
Okay.
And then place it back down.
Okay.
Good. And question, what type of evolution has the recipe gone through from?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, Kaye, you say you moved here 43 years ago, but you really are a shore girl. You came from...
Cambridge.
That's right.
And so did my husband.
So Lower Shore, Dorchester County.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, you talked about Mrs. Trivets teaching you how to make the recipe, giving you the pan. Have you added, subtracted? How has the recipe evolved over the past 43 years?
It stayed the same. I haven't changed a thing. I just cooked the chickens a long time in water and poultry seasoning and salt and pepper. Sprinkle with a little flour. And then when they get cool enough for me to touch, I pick the chickens and I add Miracle Whip salad dressing and sweet pickle relish, which can be any kind of pickle relish. I just buy whatever's on the shelf and mix it up. And the other thing that's important is you should make it 2 days ahead of time from when you want to eat it.
So it seasons and
It
everything kind of
seasons.
marries all those.
And cover it very tightly after you make it.
And keep it obviously in the fridge.
And keep it in the fridge. I don't want to poison anyone.
No. And I think what's so great about your chicken salad, and I think by the time everyone sees this piece, they're going to be wanting to make this, because the chicken salad has the perfect blend of the savory and the sweet. I mean, the relish and the poultry, it all just comes together. So I think that you're wise not to try to fix something that's not broke at all.
Well, it doesn't always taste the same, but you season it to how you like it. And my husband always tastes ours. A little known secret is that I actually don't care much for chicken salad. So my husband is the taster, or whoever comes by that day tastes it. But I enjoy making it. And oddly enough, it's a very inexpensive thing to make now when people's budgets are tight. The chickens run about $4.25, and what you add to it is another $1 or so, and then you have either lunches or dinners.
Right.
You know.
And I think that's a very important point, and perhaps one of the reasons that it has been so much a staple over years. My mom used to serve it with ham, and that stretched the ham.
We still do, yes.
Yeah. And
I'll make
great
it for
with oysters.
Yes, I guess. I don't like oysters.
Are you sure you're from the East?
I'm not entirely sure I like crab cakes, but I make it with ham, and we're having it on Easter too.
Easter, yeah. But and I noticed that there are the little rounds here. You're not making little sandwiches. How do you make the rounds?
I have a little biscuit cutter, and at Christmas I buy 10 loaves of bread. Loaf of bread has 30 pieces in it.
Plain old
white bread, and I cut 4 pieces out of each one, and then I put them in the freezer. And so that makes 120 in each loaf, and I make about 1,000 at Christmas.
Now, do you freeze them? You make your rounds, so you can do that way in advance.
Yes.
And you freeze them, and do you take them out? Do you defrost them before you put the chicken salad?
Yes, you defrost them, and we make the chicken salad. I have a whole team of people now that help me since I've gotten older, and we go in the garage and we make the chicken salad, and I have a whole set of trays.
Like an assembly line?
Yes, and everybody gets a nice teaspoon and a bowl of their own, and we can make them in less than an hour.
So, and that's an important point. Each one of these rounds has basically a rounded iced teaspoon. And you know, I think for our people who don't stir iced tea and sugar anymore. You have one right here in your sink. I want to show. This is what an iced teaspoon has. A long handle like this and a smaller bowl.
That's right.
So that's a scoop of this makes one round.
That's right.
Do you have any other special secrets that you?
No, there's no secret to it. I've just told people over the years how to make it, but I don't think a lot of young people are especially fond of picking chickens.
Yeah.
It doesn't bother me too much. But oddly enough, my children don't make chicken salad because they want me to do it all.
I was getting ready to say I don't make Maryland biscuits because my mother did. And you say that you're not, that each batch varies a little bit, but it's probably a lot like my dad used to say of Mother's Maryland biscuits. All of them are good. Some might be better than others, but there are no bad batches.
That's right. That's right. You know, and I've failed at a lot of different things, but when I've cooked it, we've just laughed about it and gone on. So you know, that's what you do when you cook.
That's right.
But there is no special recipe, and I think once you've made it, you realize how easy it is to make. And if you cook the chicken so long, you really don't have to cut anything up. Right. You just slide it. So,
which is kind of counterintuitive to the way most people cook a chicken, but it's like the low and slow. So
that's right.
We'll get to that.
Okay. So. All right. And Margie Plummer, Debbie Poole, and Phyllis White. Debbie lived next door to me when they moved here 40 years ago. And I started having everybody for what Jenna Finneran now is always referred to as Chicken Eve. Now that's how little they were.
Eve, that's funny.
Jenna Finneran's 36, and when she talked, she thought it was a chicken. So I have this turkey, and we all sit at one table, and we used to make all the kids say grace. There were 21 of us, but now we have whoever can make it. But the adults always eat together on
that's
Chicken
cool.
Chicken
Chicken
Eve.
Eve.
Chicken Eve.
So,
okay, you ready?
Well, we're getting started here today, and Kay, I'm going to confess that I have an ulterior motive in asking you to do this because ever since I first tasted your chicken salad, I wanted to know how to make it. So you're doing a real community service by showing other people.
Okay.
We're starting today, as Kay said, she's tried many different chickens. She likes the Purdue whole chicken. It's what we call a fryer down here. It's not a one of the big oven stuffer roasters. It's just a regular little frying chicken. And this chicken costs less than $4, $3.67. The price per pound is 98 cents, and the net weight is it's just under 4 pounds, 3 3/4 pounds. So
that's right.
Why don't you get us started, Kay?
Okay, well, it's very simple. Just cut the top off.
Cut the top
After
off the
it's
bag.
thawed, take it out of the bag, and I'm going to take it over here to the sink.
Right. You still wash chickens? Or?
Yes, I do wash chickens.
Well, that's it. And my mom always taught me to wash chickens, too. And they say now on the cooking shows you don't need to wash it. I get real nervous.
Oh, really? Well, this is a miniature blue agate roaster that I use to just do one chicken. And I always just spray it with Pam so I won't have so much to clean up, or it won't be so hard to clean up. And then I wash the chicken inside and out.
Now, do the fryers come with any kind of stuff in the cavity?
Not anymore.
Okay. Oh, you want me out of the way?
Okay. No, nothing comes in them anymore, and I'm glad of it. I don't have to throw that away.
Right.
Which some people don't throw away. And so I just plop it in fits perfectly in that little pan. So now, another thing people don't, the first thing you're going to do is put about 1 inch of water in here, about like that, just enough so that it won't be dry. And then to take it back here, and I have no idea why I sprinkle it with flour, but somebody taught me to do this, either my mother or Mrs. Trivets. So sprinkle flour all over it. Okay. Then you take salt, and I can't measure it, but just use your common sense, like just sprinkle some salt. Then you take pepper, and I put a lot of pepper on it, so sprinkle a little bit out in the water.
We could say you're coating it with salt and pepper.
That's right. We're coating
liberally.
it liberally. And the thing to use is McCormick's Poultry seasoning. I have used other kinds, but that's the better one.
Okay.
And I just take the top off of this too.
Gee, Kay, you should, years and years ago, many people will probably remember her when I mentioned her, Peyton Ziegler. Do you remember?
Yes, I took dancing lessons from her.
Well, and she was a real staple over on Twin Tree Road.
Yes.
But she loved McCormick's lemon pepper seasoning, and she wrote the company, and they sent her a case. So you should write the company
and
tell them that you
it would
make
be
the
nice.
Best
This is
chicken
more
salad
expensive
in town.
This is more expensive than the chicken. Anyway, that's not a very good thing to say. Put it all over here very liberally. You almost can't put too much, but sprinkle it like that so that it's coated with it. And then you're ready to go. Now in the wintertime when I do 6, I cook them overnight. But on this little chicken here, I cover him up real tightly and put him in the oven at 300 degrees. And just put him on the middle rack, and I cook him for about 3 hours at least.
But it's a slower temperature.
A slower temperature, that's right.
Now, if you cook them,
Sorry, ma'am.
if you cook,
Okay, I still cook them. I'm going to take this out of the oven because I'm okay. All right.
All right, so turn to the oven. You just put it in the oven.
Okay, I've just put this in the oven on the middle rack. And now I set my oven temperature at 300 degrees. And
You don't really have to do it. You can just
okay. So I set it at 300 degrees, and then I cook it for at least 3 hours. And if it doesn't look like it's cooked to death, then I cook it a little more.
Okay.
Sorry.
You gotta get together.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's all right. So just turn from the oven.
Okay.
And Mary, you got to remember it's in.
And I've got one
so
that's
step over here.
okay. I've got one that's finished.
Okay. Well, let's talk.
Okay.
I'm going to ask a couple more questions.
So you just set that and say, I set the oven.
I just set the oven for 300 degrees.
And you'll cook it for
At least 3 hours. and leave it in the oven once the oven goes off.
Okay.
And just let it sit there for as long as you want. It'll just steam. And then when you're ready to pick it, take it out and let it get to room temperature so you can touch it, or as warm as you want it, and take it off the bone.
Now, how do you tell when it's done? Now, they always say in the recipes or Food Network TV, they say put a thermometer in. How do you tell when it's done?
Just by looking at it. When the wings and the legs have fallen off the chicken, it's pretty much done.
It's pretty much done.
Yes.
Now, if you say at Christmas when you're cooking lots of chickens that you cook them overnight, do you change your temperature?
No, I always cook them at 300. If I want to rush them a little bit, I'll cook them at 325. But I usually put them on an oven timer for 6 at 11 o'clock. And I let them cook till at least 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning.
And they turn themselves off and then just sit there and steam.
That's right. And then I can pick those after breakfast.
Wow. So you're good to go by lunchtime. You've got your chicken picked and your bread frozen and...
I'm good to go after. It only takes me now about an hour to pick all those chickens.
All 10 chickens? Is that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Takes me a little longer than that to cut all the celery up. I've done that beforehand. And to get it all together assembled. It takes a while to mix it. But when you're just doing one chicken, that's fast.
Okay, well, let's see if the finished product is ready.
Okay.
The magic of television, the finished product should be ready.
That's right. I can show you a chicken that's all done.
Okay, sounds good. Let's get it out.
Okay, hand me a plate. And this is how you tell it's done. Wait till you see this poor thing. Gotta have a sense of humor with this. Are you ready? Yep. All right, we're going to take this chicken out that's cooked and cooled now, because I can even take it out with my hands, but it's warm. And we'll sit it here. And you were asking, Barrie, how it looks when it's done. This poor thing, can you tell?
It's done. I don't know if...
Can you tell that chicken looks done? I don't think anything is going to hurt you. And the essences are in the bottom of the pan. And again, it's very moist. And you can take that.
As my mother would say, that's a spraddle-legged chicken.
Hold that thought. All right, now the pan size has changed, so it looks like it shrank, but that's...
Yeah, well,
that's okay. No, that's okay.
I can put it in the other pan.
Now, what would you do with the essence, Kay?
I throw it away, but you can make chicken noodle stock or soup.
Just put it in the fridge overnight, and then it separates a lot of the fat out?
Yes, you can use it.
That would be great as stock.
That's the only thing I don't use very much, actually. But all the bread that I cut out, I put in the blender and use it for all kinds of recipes all year long.
Breadcrumbs yeah.
I keep it in the freezer.
So waste not, want not.
That's right.
Sorry, Mayor, can you take your glasses off for me?
Sure.
You didn't have those on.
Well, they've been on, off, and off. Yeah.
Right. So just look at Kay for a second.
Okay.
Sport chicken.
I know, this chicken is spraddled. You're right, you can tell when it's done.
You can tell.
But it's interesting, the low and slow versus the, the traditional method of cooking it.
Yes, but it's not pretty to see.
But this is not the finished product.
No, it isn't.
And I think that the advantage of the low and slow probably, which is how Mrs. Trivets learned it from 100 years ago.
Yes.
Was the idea that when it cooks like this in the moisture, it's going to be incredibly moist chicken.
That's right.
Because, there's nothing worse than chicken salad with dry chicken.
This is never dry.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't.
Okay.
You can see how all that salt and pepper and poultry seasoning has just become part of the skin.
Yes, and even though he doesn't look so good, I think you'll find he tastes good.
Are you ready?
Yep.
Now, Kay's putting on some gloves because this chicken is...
it's warm.
It's warm.
You can pick it as hot as you want to pick it, but you really should pick it when it's at least warm, because then that makes the flavor go through. And what I usually do, this chicken, as you can tell, I cook, and I'm going to take it out just with my hands like this with my gloves on.
Which is the way you were taught, we don't use tongs and things
That's
like
right,
that.
that's right. And now, I actually have a bowl that is my chicken salad bowl. And this is some chicken that I've already picked.
This is the blue one is the chicken salad bowl.
That's right. That's my chicken salad bowl, and I use that because it's so much easier to mix chicken salad up, even if you've got a little bit in a big bowl.
Oh,
that's
I agree.
kind of flat.
I
So
agree.
I have picked some chicken so this is what it starts to look like. And then I'm going to pick this one for you to show you how I do it. Okay. Now, you can see that this is really done. And why it doesn't take me very long is that I just take it and the bones fall out. And this is my dish for the bones. I have 2 dishes. And I just peel it away here with my fingers and make sure there are no bones in it anywhere. But you use all the pieces of the chicken that are there. I usually just do these first because they come off first.
And you don't use the skin.
No, don't use any skin, but use the dark meat. And you don't even have to cut it or anything. You just pull it off. And but use any meat that's on the chicken. Even if you don't think it looks so good, it is good. Dark meat is always more moist, and I think that's what makes the chicken salad more moist. But you just take the pieces off and throw it in. And then you get to the breast last. And I even use the little wings here. Get the little, most older people for some reason, my mother especially likes the wings of chicken.
Mm-hmm. My mother did too. I think that's a Depression era thing because the wings were the least expensive and
yes, least expensive, and you could just use them. Now you notice for some reason I take the breast last, and I think it's just because it's the easiest thing to do. And while I'm not being especially thrifty about taking every single piece of meat off, I'll do most of it. You can see how much nice meat is left on here.
I think our parents' generation too liked dark meat.
I think they
generally
did
more.
too. And dark meat, of course, has always been cheaper. Now here's the breast, and I go through it and take anything off that you think will be a little crusty if the crust is moved. And then I just take this breast like this.
And you can do that because it's still warm.
It's
really
still
flakes
warm
nicely.
and it's still very moist. So you just take it off, and this is how I can pick that many in so short a time.
And you're not only getting a nice texture with the dark and the light and the white meat, but you're also saving a step. You don't, by doing it warm, you don't have to pull it off and then cut it up.
No, you don't have to pull it off and cut it up. And it also, you mix it now and keep it for a couple of days, and then the flavors just meld together. So you can see here what I'm left with is mostly, you have to be very careful doing this because, and that's why I wear these real thin gloves, because I don't want anybody to get any bones. And this is in essence pretty much picked. And as you can see, I used almost all of it, and just the bones are left.
And it's just taken really less than 5 minutes to pick this whole
That's right.
4-pound chicken.
That's right. And you can pick it a little closer. But now we have the chicken, which this is actually 2 small chickens. I had picked one to start with, and then I added another one to it. So this is in essence the chicken that you get from 2 fryers.
Hold it up again.
How many people do you think that would feed if you were going to have chicken salad with ham or?
Oh my, at least 8 or 10.
Right.
And that, you think how many dips, if you think of it in scoops,
Yeah.
like you take an ice cream scoop,
Right,
it
right.
would serve more than
Right.
that.
And so that's probably $8 or less worth of chicken to serve
That's
8
right.
to 10, feasibly more.
That's right, that's $8 or $10, and you could have luncheon, which we're going to have later. And so I fed you very cheaply.
And very well.
Well, we hope it's very well.
Now, Kay, you talked about using Miracle Whip. Why do you use Miracle? Is that just what Mrs. Trivets told you?
Mrs. Trivets told me never use mayonnaise.
Really?
Ever.
Now that is a really, here, well, I'll take that.
Okay, thank you.
That's a really interesting tidbit. You just sold a little McCormick, a little Miracle Whip, and some Purdue fryers.
That's right.
But I think sometimes those are really important elements in the success of a recipe.
Well, I think Miracle Whip is also sweeter.
Oh, okay.
I think it adds a little sweetness to it. And so what I'm doing here, and the reason I wear gloves is I just think it's a lot better than sticking my hands in it. And I use these little gloves, and the time you squish it, you don't have to use any time cutting it up.
Yeah.
So it's in essence done. And we're ready to mix it up.
Okay, let's do
Hold
it.
there.
Okay.
And pretend to be mixing, and then.
Just once. This is called a two-shot.
Yep, and then just you finish it. You'll finish up and say, "Now we're ready to mix it up."
Okay, now we're ready to mix it up.
Let's go for it.
Okay?
All right. Stand by. I'm getting a shot of your chicken salad bowl, and
Okay.
Miracle Whip is a cutaway.
Oh, celery. I got to get the celery.
Okay.
Okay, good.
That's interesting.
Now, you buy the celery sliced?
No.
No.
I do it myself.
Don't they have that?
No, I don't think they do.
No,
do
they don't. They should, but they don't. And a friend of mine tried to do it. Do not try to do it with a Cuisinart.
Oh, wow.
Oh, no, because you end up with mush, liquid.
Yes, no.
Celery juice.
Yes, and this might not quite be enough celery, but, you know. I generally use about a cup for a chicken.
A cup of celery
Celery.
for a chicken.
But I don't measure it. It's whatever you've got left.
Right.
You know, or buy in the refrigerator.
Okay.
Okay, you ready? So the first thing we're going to do is just add the celery and use about a cup or however much you want to use. There's no real amount of celery. It can be filled with celery or it can be a little bit. Doesn't really make any difference. And I just mix it up a little beforehand just because it's easier.
And you've hand sliced the celery.
I do hand slice the celery.
While a lot of the Cuisinarts and food processors are great, they're not so great for cutting up celery for chicken salad.
No, they aren't. They aren't. And I generally soak my celery in cold water in the refrigerator.
Before you slice it.
And before I slice it, and I clean it very well. And then before I slice it, I wrap it in a paper towel and a regular towel and put it in the refrigerator.
Okay, now
The
that's
day
interesting.
before, and then I just cut it up at night or something, and it's all clean, and I can go right through it.
Now, let me ask you this. Was that something Mrs. Trivets taught you, or just something you
I think I just came to that all by myself.
So what do you think soaking it in the water does? Keep it real moist and
Keeps
or
it crispy.
Crisp.
Keeps
Okay.
it crispy,
Okay.
and it helps to get any dirt out
Right.
of it.
Can you mix it up a little bit?
Yes, I can mix it up a little bit more. So here you've got the chicken with the celery in it.
And the texture is really, really nice because it's you can't see where the dark meat begins and the white meat ends. It's
No.
just one great little
And
flavor
that's another
pop.
secret about how it remains moist.
Okay,
If
just a
you'll,
second.
okay,
Get back to the two-shot on that.
Here, I'll take that for you.
okay. It's like having an assistant.
I know. I love doing this, Kay.
Mary, I need to move you in just a little bit closer. There you go. All right, and that's another secret on how. So talk about the celery and the texture again.
Oh, okay.
You want me-
Notice the texture. You can't tell where the dark.
Oh,
meat-
okay. And the great thing, if you look at the texture, Kay, with all your mixing and the way you did it, I think when it was warm, you can't tell where the white meat ends and the dark meat begins, and that I think helps with the flavor.
It helps with the flavor and it helps to keep it moist. Usually white meat, excuse me, is the driest part
Right.
of the chicken, even though it's moist, but the dark meat helps to keep it more moist.
And I think that we could actually say that this is a dietetic recipe because by not having just white meat or having it mixed nicely, you need less mayonnaise.
Yes.
So we're getting to the root of my challenges.
But I must add, I use Miracle Whip,
But
but
I
don't use the low-calorie Miracle Whip or the fat-free, I think is what it is. I tried it. and it made it look very strange, and it didn't hold together.
Okay.
You actually need this because it's thick.
But I looked at it. The fat content. I mean, not that we want to dissect good Eastern Shore food, but it really doesn't look too bad. I mean, it looks.
No.
In many ways, I think the fat content of this, if my memory serves me, from label reading in the grocery store, is probably comparable with lower fat regular mayonnaise.
It might be.
So
I did try the lower fat, and it didn't make it, but when you think how much you eat, it's not as much as you're putting into this whole bowl.
Right.
So I think it probably gets it down to a little less.
and of course, as I've said, we've got moist chicken, so we don't need quite as much Miracle.
That's right. We'll cut down on the Miracle Whip. And this is any kind of pickle relish that you can find on the shelf. This happens to be Mount Olive, but we can use, it's sweet pickle relish. Make sure you get sweet. And there is no, I wish I knew a recipe for this, but like the rest of it, I just dump it in. And then my husband, the taster, tells me if I have enough sweet relish. So I hope so.
So turn to the camera, and it's pretty much sweet pickle relish to taste. Could you
Yes.
just tell that to the camera?
Yes, sweet pickle relish to taste.
And I think you're looking for a texture too. Once you add the Hellmann's, you'll, after doing it,
Not Hellmann's, Barrie.
I'm sorry, you're right.
Okay,
I'm
so-
sorry. The
so-
Miracle Whip. Let's redo
So
that,
no,
Tom.
let's talk about. We added the sweet pickle relish, and it's mostly to taste. So
Yeah.
That's right. So, since we have just a little bit left in this jar, we'll just use it all. There is no formula for this. We're just going to use it all.
So you really, after you do it for years and years, once you add the Miracle Whip, you can kind of tell if your texture's where you want it to be. And
Just taste it before you put it in the refrigerator. And if it doesn't taste like you think mine tastes, then add more pickle relish.
okay.
And sometimes you will need to add more mayonnaise after it sits for a day or two, because mayonnaise will firm it up, and
Right.
you need it to be spreadable.
okay,
That's
we have to
an
redo that because we don't use mayonnaise.
Oh.
Oh,
I've gotten, I've
All right,
jinxed
so
you,
you
Kay.
jinxed it. But first, let's talk about. Do you pay any attention to your color scheme? You've got the celery and the pickle relish. Do you pay any attention to that, or as far as presentation goes?
well,
Right now, it's looking pretty good. I like the green. It's not overly green,
but
but does that come into play at all? Or?
actually the color gets to be nice, but I don't do anything to make it this color. The pickle relish is really for taste, but it happens to come out nicely. And then if I have time and my company isn't here, I will sprinkle a little paprika on it for color.
Oh, right. If you're serving it in a.
All right.
Yes.
All right, let's talk a little bit about that.
Okay.
What do you mean if the company's not here? What's that?
Well, when you
All right.
make 1,000 of them, and you have to get ready, and you have to have it ready, when the people walk in the door at 6 o'clock, sometimes they don't get sprinkled with paprika. Especially, I start out with silver trays, and I get right down to my bamboo trays, and I just walk through the crowd and hand out chicken salad at the end. And I have been known to make it, if I didn't get it done, be making it in the garage, and people come out there and get it. So it's a very interesting party.
Well, it's an evolving fluid thing. And I think that you probably, the more you do this, and you've done it for over 4 decades, you can tell by the texture and the consistency when you're putting it together if you're where you want to be.
Sure. And if you get a little bit too much in it, it'll probably be fine. It's just not an exact science. So here we're going to add Miracle Whip. And you start out with, I guess, a glob. I don't know how else to tell you, 2 globs.
2 globs, and you're using a kind of a serving spoon there.
Right. I think I'll go with 3.
3 globs.
3 globs. And then you try it. And what you do is just mix it up. You can always add more. So I know because I put a lot in there, but I've done it a lot of times, but I hope I didn't put too much this time.
No, I don't think
But
so.
I don't think I did. And
Let me get to show some of the consistency.
Okay.
Can you talk a little bit about that consistency and what you're looking for if you have to add more?
well, the consistency is you want it so that you can take that iced teaspoon and spread it if you're going to spread it, or it's going to cling together. You wouldn't want it when you actually squeeze it with your fingers, it will actually hug together. So you've got to mix it up fairly well and make sure you get all the chicken and the celery from the bottom of this blue dish. And that's the reason why you want this wide dish. If you've got a narrow one, you can't get to it.
Right. And I think that the difference in your chicken salad and let's say my regular chicken salad is that I've got chunks of chicken covered with mayonnaise. You've got a whole kind of a consistency. It's all incorporated into one
Yes.
wonderful
Well, we
bowl
try,
of-
and hence the warmth. So I think that's pretty good.
Okay. I won't take it up from you think it's pretty good, but Mary, can you slide over a little bit?
Sure. And you say that you want this, you think it's best if it's refrigerated for a day or so before you serve it.
Yes.
And you can
it sees a little bit
sometimes
more.
have to use another glob.
Yes, another glob. This is measured in globs. In fact, I think I need a half a glob. But when you mix it up, you don't want it to be dry. That's the nice thing about this chicken salad is it's firm, and when you squeeze it, you could almost make it like a crab cake.
Oh,
you know.
okay.
Do that again for me?
You can almost make it like a crab cake.
So that's the consistency you're looking.
Just a ball
Yeah.
here if you're serving it on a lettuce leaf.
I wonder if you could like broil or fry those like crab cakes. We could have it.
I've never fried it, but I do put it on bread and melt cheese on top of it for Jimmy.
Oh.
And he likes that.
Jim is Kaye's husband.
Yes. And he's the official chicken salad tester. And he wasn't sure about yesterday's chicken salad that I made, so I hope we're okay. But most of the time he'll say put more pickle relish in it.
Again, that's just an individual taste.
It really is. So here we'll take this spoon and just don't waste anything
That's right.
and mix it in.
Mrs. Trivets would be proud.
Yes, I don't waste anything.
No. That generation didn't waste anything.
No. So when you're finished, you just have your pan to clean up and your plates and your bones to throw away and your plates to put in the dishwasher if you're lucky enough to have a dishwasher. And this is it. And you just put it in the refrigerator and make sure it must be in an airtight container. If it's not, it will get dry again. So I always put saran wrap or whatever you're doing and put a lid on the container or make sure it's dry, and I don't open it up. And you can actually see little condensation on where it is moist on your
On the
saran
top.
wrap.
Yeah, okay.
And you know that is good. The other thing is make sure that you dry your celery. That's why I put it in a towel. If you wash your celery and you put it right in there, it'll have some water on it, and your chicken salad will be a little bit watery.
Okay.
So make sure it's dry.
Okay.
Dry and clean before you cut it up. Okay?
So the tips here, I'm going to go over them. Any agate roaster. You don't need a fancy roaster
No.
from any of the cooking stores. Miracle Whip for the dressing.
Correct.
McCormick's poultry seasoning is better than the
Yes.
rest. Purdue fryers are better, in your opinion, than the rest.
In my opinion.
In your opinion. And judging, having tasted the salad, I think that we can rely on Kaye's opinion. And doing it low and slow in the little bit of water.
Yes.
And giving it just time enough to rest, but picking it so that it's still warm. You can really flakes it, makes it easier, and keeps the taste and the flavors and the moistness all
Yes.
better.
You shouldn't use a pair of scissors except to cut open the chicken.
Right. Okay.
You ought to be able to just squeeze it together in it because it's warm.
And kind of marinate your celery in cold water in the fridge for a while.
Yes.
Dry it with paper towels and wrap it in a towel so it's good and dry, and that'll make it crisp and crunchy when you cut it. Don't use a food processor. Use
No.
a good old knife and a cutting
No.
board.
This is sort of labor intensive.
Yes. Well, but it yields a lot.
Well, that's why I cook my chickens at night. I think I'm an impatient person. I don't want to wait during the day, so I put them on a timer. I'm lucky enough to have a timer. And it's all ready in the morning, and I can get it done and have dinner ready or lunch or whatever I'm doing you know,
Well,
the day
then
before.
environmentally, that's using electricity at off-peak times. So you see, you're just a woman ahead of your time. And let it sit, if you can, for a day or two.
Yes.
And kind of ruminate, marinate.
Yes, at least a day. Make it a day before you're going to serve it. And that's a wonderful thing, because then I can never depend on what's going to happen to me the day that I serve it.
Right.
So I kind of like to know I have the food ready
Right.
before that day.
And what's great about this is that it's like making bread. You get your hands in there. It's a very tactile, kind of a stress reducer.
If you like to do it. I don't know how many people like to pick chickens, but
Well,
you know, at least we don't have to cut their heads off like my grandmother used to do.
That's exactly right. And then pull them apart and fry them, kill them in the morning, and have them served for lunch.
Oh, I can't imagine doing that.
No.
Although I've seen it done. I grew up in the country.
Yeah, my mom did it. She grew up on a farm. So anyway, Kay, thanks so much for the chicken salad.
You're welcome.
As I said, we've worked a couple of years to coordinate this event, but we've had grandchildren and things like that.
Nice
You know,
things.
Good
We've had
things.
nice things happen. That's the good part.
Good blessings.
Yes.
And but I'm so glad we did this. As I said, there's an ulterior motive. Now I know how to do it. So maybe Matt will get a little more chicken salad.
Sure. And once you learn how to do it, it goes faster every time.
So anyway, just want to say thanks to Pack 14 for making this opportunity available that so many out there can also enjoy Kay's chicken salad.
Thank you. We've had a good time.
For opening up your beautiful kitchen.
Oh, you're welcome.
All right, good. Kay, I just need you to look at the mayor for me.
Okay.
Oops, can't stand in there. Just,
Getting my good side, aren't you, Tom?
yeah, getting
Do you want me to throw my greasy hands around her?
not yet. All right, just look at the mayor for me.
Like we're talking about.
Okay, yeah. Well, I think we can talk.
Yeah.
Okay, now one
Could do
question I
that.
want to ask, and you answer, Barry, for me. Anything in your years of making that went horribly wrong, or that you can remember that?
Okay. Kay, in all the years that you've been making this chicken salad, from the time that Mrs. Trivets taught you the tricks of the trade, have you had any kind of horror stories where things just, everything that could go wrong did?
Not really. I've had my chickens boil over in the oven from using too much water. But other than that, if you put about an inch or an inch and a half, that won't happen to you. But other than that, you can taste it beforehand, which gives you a great advantage. So if you put too much salt, you'll just have to throw it out, but that usually doesn't happen, or you can add something. So I haven't had any real disasters. My worst disaster was a lemon meringue pie that I probably needed to have a chainsaw to cut. So that's why I stick with chicken salad.
Well, that's it. I mean, obviously, this is a foolproof recipe.
Well, I try,
Yeah.
just as long as the chicken's fresh.
That's right. And the Miracle Whip
Whip.
is ready. And
And they don't stop making a sweet pickle relish. We're home free.
thanks again.
Okay,
Kay.
thanks.